Now in this second video in this series about maximizing apple color, I will be talking about many other methods of color enhancements besides summer pruning by hand, including special tools designed for speed and labor reduction, and special sprays and other options. Like most good farmers, you may be thinking there must be an easier way just to cut back branches. And you're partially right. Some growers use hand hedge trimmers to speed up the process, but beware. These machines can be quite dangerous to the unexperienced worker and also can be quite heavy to operate for days on end. Since the sickle bars can be fairly long, I've seen some employees damage fruit by either cutting whole branches off with fruit on them or cutting into the fruit with the cutting blades unknowingly. As always, as an employee that practices care and attention is vital to these operations. Now, a method even quicker than using a hand hedge trimmer is using a large commercial tractor mounted sickle bar. I've seen some growers that have modified old sickle bars that were used for mowing grass or wheat fields, and some new custom built models as well. Now, these machines are very ingenious indeed, but do have their drawbacks. Every tree on your farm will be a slightly different size and shape, and the fruit will be hanging off the branches at different lengths from the main trunk. So if you're using a large sickle bar on your tractor, you'll never be able to accurately prune the branches closely back to the fruit on the trees without there being some collateral damage. If you prune with the bar further away, then you most likely won't get the desired sunlight penetration. If you prune with the bar too close to the trunks of the trees, you will most likely end up with cutting the apples off the branches. Now, the benefits seem tempting, since after the initial capital costs, this method is much less expensive than hand pruning, but just remember that the end result is often less effective compared to hand pruning. Now, if you feel like a sickle bar is your only option, I wish you the best of luck. It's certainly not my recommended option, but something is better than nothing. Depending on the value of the apples, a de-leafing machine can be a useful tool to have. The clear benefits of a de-leafing machine are that it can save on labor. But before you go out and buy one of these fancy units, know that they unfortunately do not even come close to taking the place of proper summer pruning. In my experience, you have to get the machine airheads extremely close to the canopy of the tree, and the only way to get the machine close enough is to, you guessed it, summer prune the trees beforehand. If maximum color is indeed what you're after, then one of the best combinations is to summer prune and then use a de-leafing machine. If you do this, the results are very impressive. Now, the initial capital cost can be large depending on the size of your farm, but perhaps an option would be to team up with some other like-minded growers and share the cost. Just like many of the other methods in improving color, you'll have to decide if you want to take the extra step to maximize your color and how that correlates to the value of your crop in the end. De-leafing by hand is also an option that can actually pay off for some high-value apples like ambrosia, but your return for those varieties must be very strong to justify the added expense. White reflective tarps are indeed another method to improve fruit color, but again, they do not take the place of summer pruning unless you have extremely weak trees with very little growth. I encourage you to check out my video on white reflective tarps on YouTube, simply called White Reflective Tarps, which should give you all the information you need to decide if this particular option is for you. Now, if you think that you only have the time or budget to do either summer pruning or put out tarps, the summer pruning option will almost always give you a much better result, hands down. Don't be fooled into thinking that the simple fix of tarps is the answer to solve your color issues, because it's probably not. Not surprisingly, there are some particular spray products that can help to promote red color on the fruit or decrease shoot growth. But once again, most of these products will not take the place of summer pruning in your trees. Now, there are three main categories or modes of action of air blast sprays that all have varying results in increasing red color. The first category of sprays would be the plant growth regulators, or PGRs. They work by enhancing red color in some apple varieties by slightly increasing the production of red pigments. A currently registered trade name of one of these products is called Blush, so you can refer to your local horticultural consultant to give you more information. Now, ethifon or etheryl has been successfully used in the past to speed up red color and maturity since it is a naturally occurring hormone that kicks the conversion of starch in the fruit to sugar, but this practice has been discontinued in Canada as of 2020, so it's no longer an option. Now, the second main category of sprays that may help promote color by increasing anthocyanin levels are spraying nutrients such as phosphorus, keeping in mind that you often have to use multiple sprays starting early, just after the flowering stage, and continue until about 3 weeks before harvest. Now, there's some information that generally shows that these sprays may help in some cases, but this method should be fairly low on your list of tricks if you're aiming for substantial results. As a side note, many apple trees do not uptake certain nutrients very well out of the soil, so particular foliar sprays of these particular nutrients can benefit your crop for many more reasons than just red color enhancement. Your apple trees can benefit from foliar applications of zinc, boron, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, and other nutrients when appropriate. But be extra cautious when applying nitrogen. Now, all plants need nitrogen to grow and to be healthy, and trees can be pushed to support larger crops of fruit with added applications of nitrogen. But again, be careful with nitrogen applications on your crop, as excess applications of nitrogen can also be devastating to the quality of the crop at harvest. Now, for example, if you've over-applied nitrogen or continue to apply nitrogen well past the 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter of fruit size, your fruit may still be green at harvest, and the trees will be still rapidly growing. If this is the case, even summer pruning can do little to increase the fruit color of your crop. Now, not only will much of your fruit be green, but the fruit that is picked will most likely also have a greatly decreased storage life before it breaks down. Knowing how much nitrogen and other nutrients to apply, and when, is a fine art that takes finessing for each of your blocks. If you don't have the experience, make sure to contact someone with experience in this field, so you don't accidentally hurt your crop, which you've spent so much time tending to. Now, the final category of air blast sprays that you can use on your trees is a product that actually reduces shoot growth. This product, with the trade name of Apogee, is another type of plant growth regulator. This particular product, which is a prohexidine calcium, needs to be applied to actively growing trees, typically after only 1 to 3 inches of shoot growth have begun. Now, Apogee inhibits gibberellin biosynthesis, which slows vegetative growth, and also helps to suppress fire blight and improve fruit color by decreasing the amount of foliage. Most often, you will need to make multiple applications every 2 to 3 weeks for it to be effective. Now, out of these different air blast spray options currently available, Apogee has certainly proven to be the most effective method in increasing red color due to the substantial reduction of shoot growth that can occur in the product if it's used correctly. Now, summer pruning is still a better option, but Apogee certainly does work and is a good tool to prematurely reduce shoot growth and therefore make the manual summer pruning cuts that much faster. Now, simply leaving the fruit on longer at harvest will most often increase fruit color, but be extremely careful. Overmature fruit that is poor quality drastically reduces storage life and can negatively affect the eating experiences of the fruit. Refer to the apple starch maturity testing like a pro video on YouTube for a comprehensive explanation on how to harvest your fruit at the correct time. Picking overripe fruit because you're trying to increase the color of your crop can be very risky. Now, it's best to use many of the other tools we have talked about in this video to try to achieve better red color while ensuring that the maturity is still correct. It seems drastic, but you might want to replant or graft your apple block in some cases. Perhaps one of the simplest solutions to talk about would just be to graft or plant higher color strains or varieties of apples. And sometimes this is the best option. But as most commercial orchardists will tell you, grafting trees or replanting with an entirely new strain or variety is extremely costly and time intensive. Now, as a side note, some varieties of apples do not currently even have an alternate strain that are redder to choose from, such as ambrosia. So if you want to increase your color with some varieties, grafting or replanting to a higher strain is not even an option. For the varieties that do have higher color strain options to replant or graft to, such as Gala, let's briefly discuss a few top-line considerations to think about in regards to replant, if that's something you're considering. I would strongly encourage replanting one of your apple blocks if one or more of the varieties you grow is no longer desired in the marketplace due to it being a naturally low-colored strain. And the block is also decreasing in production year after year due to things like aging trees, poor soil, or a major tree insect infestation problem such as clearwing moth. If this is describing your orchard, it may be time to forget about trying to throw more money at expensive labor for things like summer pruning and focus more on getting a new start so that you can set yourself up for success in the future. Think about it. If you're paying workers $20 to $30 per hour to summer prune a block that only gets roughly 40 bins or less of marginally colored fruit, you just won't be able to make a profit, even with extensive summer pruning. And you're not even going to cover all of your expenses unless you're getting paid a king's ransom for your fruit. The only way that this model would potentially work is if you were doing all the labor yourself. And if that's even possible, I would say good for you. But you should be really paying yourself a living wage as well. Otherwise, you're just treating your farm like a hobby. Now, there's no doubt that practices like summer pruning will enhance your color. But first, you have to make sure that it will be worth the exercise simply before spending money with the hope that it will pay off in the end. Again, enhancing your fruit color before harvest will almost always be worth it, but do some proper research and crunch some numbers first before you start. Now, there's no point in throwing more money at a problem when that problem may require a different solution. If you have determined that your trees may require a replant instead of just a summer pruning, you may have to acquire knowledge. And there's no better place to get knowledge than from people that know the marketplace. Have frank conversations with the people who buy your fruit. Don't just hope that they will continue to take your fruit and pay you similar prices as you got last year. Often, buyers will be able to give you honest insights as to where market trends are trending and what you might want to focus on as a grower going forward in regards to not only color requirements, but long-term trends as well. Remember, just because your neighbor is planting a new variety does not mean it will yield high profits and succeed in the marketplace. Talk to your neighbor and ask them why they are doing what they're doing, but also make sure that you are asking a number of other reputable growers or industry experts. The only thing more expensive than replanting an orchard is having to rip your trees out of the ground or regraft them 5 years later when you find out it was the wrong variety. Now, in the next video in this series about maximizing apple color, I'll be talking about many other factors of color enhancements besides summer pruning and automation techniques, including how temperature can play a large role close to harvest, how to use crop load management as a way to increase color, and one little pest that can destroy your apple size and color if left unchecked. Check out Maximizing Your Apple's Color at Harvest Like a Pro, Video 3. I'm your host, Steve Brown, and until next time, happy farming.